All right, if you want to make money really fast on creative finance deals, so subject to lease option sandwiches, seller financing, hybrid deal structures, then watch this video. You might have to watch it over and over again, but this is the template on how you make money on these deals if you can't take them down yourself, and how you can potentially raise the private money to fund the cash required for you to do these deals and then take them down yourself. So you're going to get two outcomes from this video. Number one, how much money can you add to these deals to pay yourself to find them for other investors? And then number two, in doing that this way, you're going to line up these private money lenders who will put up the money for you to keep these deals yourself. And there'll be enough cash flow for you to pay them the interest on their money and for you to profit still on these projects. So the key is to underwrite these creative finance deals at a 15% cash on cash return. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say you're scoping a property that's after repair value is $400,000. The underlying loan on that property is $325,000, and you can take it over, pay the seller their cash, reinstate the loan in some instances where it's delinquent. You have to bring it in good standing, so you got to write a check for that. Sometimes you have to put money into rehabbing the property or getting it ready for guests if you're going to do short-term rental, or if you're going to pad split it, or if you're going to do a traditional long-term 12-month lease. Whatever it is that you have to do to property to get it ready, that's part of the cash to do the deal. Sometimes a code enforcement liens, you got some closing costs, title insurance, whatever. Trust documents if you're doing them the way we do it. Let's say the total cash to take over that project is $50,000. The question then becomes, can you make a 15% return at the end of the year after all expenses? Can you make 15% return on that $50,000? So what's the 15% return? Well, a 10% return on that $50,000 will be $5,000. A 15% return will be $7,500. So can you make, after conservative assumptions on these rent projections, when you take out maintenance reserve, you take out a vacancy rate, you take out your property management fees if you're not going to manage it yourself, on conservative assumptions, if you can make $7,500 at the end of the year on that $50,000 cash outlay, you've got what we call a 15% cash on cash return. Now, if you have all these investors that have been waiting for a 10% cash on cash return, then watch what you can do. We use what we call a priority reservation agreement, by the way. Follow the channel if you aren't using priority reservation agreements. It's like the holy grail of having an exit strategy for your investors and not wasting time with tire kickers. These are active, ready, willing, and able and qualified investors that are your guaranteed exit when you find these deals. So we have these investors waiting, and they've been positioned to expect a 10% return on their money. So they're looking for a 10% cash on cash return. What does that mean? You find a deal at net $7,500 at the end of the year. That means you can sell it to one of these investors for $75,000. They're going to be giving, their expectation is I can put up $75,000 and get $7,500 net income at the end of the year. They're doing that all day long. That means on that deal that you found that's going to take $50,000 cash, you can add a $25,000 assignment fee to that, or transaction fee to that, to hand it off to these investors, and that's your payday for finding and structuring these deals and negotiating them. That's how you make money on that. But here's the other win. Why not take that deal down yourself if you have these private investors here who will give you the money potentially for a 10% return on their money? Some of these investors not only will be the investors that take down these projects that you don't want to do yourself, but they'll be the investors who will be your private lenders to put up the cash for how much of a return? A 10% return. So they do a simple interest loan. You record it as like a second mortgage or an underlying lien to the first mortgage that's on the property. And then you're paying them, in this example, a 10% return on that $50,000 it takes to do that project. So that's $5,000 of interest you pay on an annual basis for that $50,000 cash that they gave you for you to take down the project yourself. Now, you're making $7,500 at the end of the year, right? So you still net in cash flow another $2,500. You also have all the depreciation, the interest write-offs, the appreciation on the property, and the principal reduction on that loan over time that you took over. So with all those benefits, you're gonna be north of a 20-30% cash on cash return.